family. It's Monday, November 16th, 2020. This morning we're reading Psalm 52. For the choir director, a maskil of David. When Doug the Edomite came and told Saul and said to him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. Why do you boast in evil, O mighty man? The loving kindness of God endures all day long. Your tongue devises destruction, like a sharp razor, O worker of deceit. You love evil more than good, falsehood more than speaking what is right. Selah. You love all words that devour, O deceitful tongue. But God will break you down forever. He will snatch you up and tear you away from your tent, and uproot you from the land of the living. Selah. The righteous will see and fear, and will laugh at him, saying, Behold, the man who would not make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and was strong in his evil desire. But as for me, I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the loving kindness of God forever and ever. I will give you thanks forever, because you have done it. And I will wait on your name, for it is good in the presence of your godly ones. This is the word of the Lord. If you remember the story, this kind of the setting for this psalm here. David was fleeing from Saul once again, and had gone to the tabernacle, and the priest Ahimelech, and was looking for some food and a weapon. And this is where David had gotten a sword and some bread. And Doug turned around and essentially ratted out the priests. And many priests were slain as a result. And this is David's response to that. I really want us to think about one thing this morning, glean one thing from this today. There's many we could, but I want you to notice the focus of David here on speaking what is right rather than falsehood. He's calling out this Doug or however you pronounce his name, Doeg, Doug. This man was a liar. He was a deceiver. He was a slanderer. He was a pot stirrer. Says in verse 2 that your tongue devises destruction like a sharp razor, a worker of deceit. You love evil more than good, falsehood more than speaking what is right. You love all words that devour, O deceitful tongue. How often could that be said of us in regards to the words that we speak? Whether it's blatant lies, half-truths, words meant to mask the truth. Maybe you're speaking the truth in regards to something, and yet you omit other parts of the truth in order to to give cover for something. We slander, we curse out of the same mouth. Out of the same mouth, out of the same spring, come both blessings and cursings, James says. Our mouths are full of iniquity and deceit and sin. The Bible tells us that we're to be quick to listen and slow to speak. Correct? We would do well to think about what we're going to say before we say it. Because we see here David reminding us what's going to happen to the one that has the deceitful tongue, the one who loves evil more than good and falsehood more than speaking what is right. Verse 5, he says, "But God will break you down forever. He will snatch you up and tear you away from your tent, and uproot you from the land of the living." Now, I've always thought and believed that this verse was referencing God killing a person, snatching them up out of the tent of their body. And that could be it. But I also read this morning in Matthew Henry's commentary that he thought that David was referencing Dag being snatched away from worshiping at the tabernacle, and uprooted from the land of the living would refer to the fact that those that worship at the house of God, the saints, the church, that is the land of the living, and that Doug was going to be torn away from that. And so, irregardless of what exactly that's referencing there, the truth of the matter is that it's describing something in which those that love evil more than good, they're not going to partake in the fellowship of the living. They're going to be broke down forever. And that should scare us. That should strike fear in us. And verse 6 says that the righteous will see and fear. For being honest this morning, we'd have to admit to ourselves that the reality is we don't fear often enough. We don't fear the Lord as we ought on most days, do we? The Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, that fools despise wisdom and instruction. We just learned yesterday in church that the beginning of happiness is essentially the fear of the Lord. And so, having a proper fear of the Lord will help us to guard our tongues from deceit. He goes on to say that the righteous will see and fear and will laugh at him. In other words, they're going to laugh at the one who loved evil more than good. And here's what they say when they do that. "Behold, the man who would not make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and was strong in his evil desire." Are you strong in your evil desires? Are you led by the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life? Or is that something that you make war against? reality is that even when we're born again, the temptations aren't going to just disappear. The temptations to sin aren't just going to evaporate. They're still going to be there. The question is, are those things that you succumb to, that you pursue after, that you permit to go unchecked in your life, or are those things you make war with? Then David switches gears and talks about himself for a moment and where his trust is in. He's contrasting what he trusts in compared to what the one that loves evil more than good trusts in. The one that loves evil more than good trusted in the abundance of their riches, and they pursued after their evil desires. And then David's saying, but as for me, I'm like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the loving kindness of God forever and ever. So there's one that's trusting in sin, in material wealth. They're prideful. They don't make war with sin. They delight in it. And then there's one that trusts in the loving kindness of God forever and ever. I will give you thanks forever because you have done it, and I will wait on your name, for it is good in the presence of your godly ones. That's this is really the dichotomy, is it not? It's one or the other. You can't be a person that's trusting in the things of this world, and you're being led by the desires, the lusts of your flesh. You can't be that person and call yourself a Christian at the same time. Those things are incompatible. Now, without a doubt, Christians do sin, and Christians will stumble into these things. But this is not this is no longer the default position of a Christian. A Christian's been given a new nature. They've been given a new heart. And the question before us this morning is, which camp do you fall in? Are you one that's trusting in the Lord? Are you trusting in Him and in His loving kindness? Are you waiting on His good name? Patiently trusting in Him? Even though your eyes deceive you from time to time, even though the world is telling you, oh, you're so stupid, you believe in the Bible, and it was written by Bronze Age sheep herders, and it's just full of fairy tales and this and that. Are you believing that, or are you putting your trust in the Lord? Think about that today. Where does your trust lie? Where do your hopes lie? I love you all. I pray you have a blessed day today. And let this be a meditation for you today. Let this be a reminder for us to guard our tongues and to examine what we say and how we say it to one another. Not because saying the right things or saying good things is going to save us. Only God can save you. But how we speak to one another, whether we're speaking truth or deceit, reveals what our trust's in. It reveals whose child we are. Satan is the father of lies. And so when we speak falsehood to one another, we're doing the work of our father, the devil. Let's just remember that today. God bless you all. Bye-bye.